So for some of you, you already know who I am, and but I just wanted to clarify what gives me the right to be doing this webinar in the first place. For those of you who maybe don't know me so well, I'm a longtime executive coach who actually got the coaching bug about 20 years ago. And when I found out about coaching, I literally could not sleep that night. I was so excited. I'd found my life's calling, and there's no question about it, because I've now been in coaching 20 years. I've watched the growth of the coaching profession, and I have been a coaching educator at 2 universities, as well as I developed and founded Coaching Out of the Box, which is what is putting on this webinar today. And who I never would have in my wildest dreams imagined that 20 years ago I would be speaking today and talking about what has happened in that time in coaching and in my own life and the people that I have worked with and spoken with. And here's something that I just wanted to say, we're going to barrel into things in a moment, is what if you could improve listening amongst people that you work with, people you live with, people you interact with? If improved listening could happen, if improved communication could happen, if the ability to give feedback to one another could happen, if positively impacted relationships could happen, if team dynamics could strengthen, if team communication could strengthen, if you could engage in conversations that are solutions focused and promote accountability. What if that happened more often in all our different kinds of communications? Well, that is really the promise of coaching, and much, much more. And I was very excited to present these findings with 5,000 people who had taken our Coaching Out of the Box flagship 555 coaching skills training program last year to Harvard Medical School, McLean Hospital, and Institute of Coaching. That is what happened as a result of that. So that's where I want to start our conversation today and what I want to see happening. And I see someone, I'm just noticing one of my icons has disappeared for a second, and I just want to make sure that I have it in front of my screen so that I can see the various chats and conversations that are happening. But one of the things that I want to do is do a poll, because what I want to do is make sure that you are going to get value. You can see our objectives is, the purpose of this is to support you in moving forward in whatever way has caused you to come to this webinar today. Provide our perspective, because that's what I'll be doing, how we can help you and answer your questions. And so in that regard, I want to launch a poll to help me and help you in ensuring that we are meeting your needs today. And I have a number of questions. I'm going to launch it. Here we go. Going to launch the poll and answer as best you can. You don't necessarily have to answer every single question, but what it's going to do is help us understand who is on this webinar and ensure that we meet your needs as best as possible. So I'm going to be quiet for a second and allow those people here to take the poll. I hope that people can see the poll. And I'm trying to have a look here. Yeah. Please let us know if you're somehow or other not able to see the poll. Oh, great. It's happening. It's starting to happen. Great. We'll just give it a little bit more time, and then we'll get started with moving forward. This is very helpful. And once it's done, we're going to promote everybody to panelists so that we can actually have back and forth conversation. This is very, very helpful, though. I can see that. Yeah, I think we've probably done pretty good here. We'll just give it about another 30 seconds, and then we'll move forward. Okay, we will end the poll now. This is very helpful. Thank you. And hopefully you can see how things shaped out. It's very interesting to see how that is. Ah, yes, and I recognize some more faces too. Thank you for showing yourselves on the video. That's very, very helpful. Great. Okay, so let's move forward. The other piece about coaching is, and the need for coaching, is all about adapting to change. That's what it's all about. We're all having that happen. And so you can see what I've said here on the screen, and that's what this wonderful, wonderful work and wonderful profession of coaching is all about. And so for some of you, you're already accredited coaches. Some of you have taken some coach training. Some of you are looking to create coaching as a next career for yourselves. And some of you are in organizations and you're wondering about how to do this or how to bring coaching into organizations. So, and some are primarily researching. Here's something that I wanted to just share. It came out recently. We had an ICF global coaching study. Now, ICF is one of the largest coaching associations in the world of professional coaches. And I was very involved in the early days of it. And this came out just recently, and I just took a few pieces out of it. But I thought it would be helpful for some of you as some of you are doing your research, you're pursuing it even further, you're moving forward. I thought this was very interesting. So PricewaterhouseCoopers did it, as you can see on the screen. There was a number of people who engaged in the survey, and there's other countries mentioned, but for the purposes of today, global, you can see the average income. North America, you can see what that is. Look at the revenue. Look at the revenue that is coming in from coaching worldwide. I mean, that is just incredible. Also, the increase in coaching happening from 2011. So this is growing. This is absolutely growing. The need for it is growing. The demand for it is growing. The recognition that this is such an incredible tool, skill, ability to have. And of those people who filled out that survey, a large number of them are accredited. And there's going to be a little bit more about that. But, and here's the other thing that I think is really important as well, is that more and more people in organizations are expecting coaches to be certified or credentialed. They're wanting that. That certainly wasn't the case in the early days, I can assure you. I'm going to also ask, if you want to speak, please unmute yourself. And if you look, you should be able to, oops, I just got hang on my screen. You should be able to unmute yourself. It should be either across the top or across the bottom of your screen, where it will say mute, stop video, etc. And theoretically, you should be able to do that if you want to say anything. And certainly just raise your hand so that we know that you're wanting to speak. It should be just very, very fluid because we've made you all panelists, but just in case. I'm curious, anybody have any comments on what this study produced? Anybody? Yes, who's speaking, please? Hello? It sounded like somebody was speaking. Georgia? She's trying to, I think somebody wanted to say something, but I'm not sure that that's functioning. Did you unmute yourself? Oh, it's still muted. I'm wondering, Sandra, if you can help. Somebody might be having trouble unmuting themselves. Anybody have any comments about that before we move forward? I'm just gonna open this up and get everybody on it. Okay, I guess nobody's saying anything, so that's fine. Perfect. But somebody looks like they're talking. Is that you, Jennifer? Nope. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move forward. But that's the context of what I wanted to start our conversation in, is what came out of this study. And by the way, at the end of this webinar, I am delighted to just let me know if you want a copy of the executive summary, and I'm happy to send it to you.
I would.
Great. And who said that?
Lori.
Oh, hi, Lori. Oh,
Hello.
nice to see your face. I've chatted with you before. Great.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll note that for you, Lori, and we'll send it off to you. We'll be also following up with the whole webinar, etc. So not to worry. Okay. So because we've got a bit of a varied group, these are some critical questions that you need to ask yourself regardless of where you're at. And the first one is a great coaching question. How will I know I made the best decision for me? What is it, what is it that's going to tell you, whatever you decided to do, whether you decided to take a program with us, you decided to do something else, what is going to tell you? How are you going to know that this was a great decision? Who do you want to coach? When you think about coaching, who is it that you're thinking of coaching? Have you thought about that? As you can see, what time, money, and resources am I prepared to allocate? And I'm going to speak a bit to that right now. Think about what that's going to do, what you want to do, because believe me, in coaching, you can invest quite a significant amount of your time, your money, and your resources to becoming educated in coaching. And it can vary from a half-day seminar that you might take, your organization might deliver something to you, all the way up to, honestly, $30,000 and sometimes even more to educate yourself as a coach. So plus you can certainly invest an incredible amount of time at it as well. And what is going to be right for you when you're embarking on this? And that also makes you want to say, well, what is going to tell me I did the right thing, that I made the right thing? What is made the right decision? Where is it that I want to end up? What is this going to do for me? Who would be my ideal client? Am I going to work internally in an organization? Am I going to add this to my toolkit? Am I going to be coaching colleagues, leaders, managers. Who is it that you're going to want to coach? I'm curious, has anybody thought about that? Okay, all right. So the other thing is, do you need a coaching credential? Some people are wondering about that. Again, it depends. It depends on what it is that you're going to be doing with this. And I know we've already got, actually, I know we've got somebody here who already has their credential. Why did you get a credential? I'm curious. Whoever that is in the class, you can either unmute yourself, or you can make a comment in the chat area. What made you decide to get your credential? I'm sure some other people would be curious about that. And where are you going to do that? Where are you going to get your credential? And so that is going to be a really critical thing for you to think about and do some research on and ask, here's my perspective. Here's where I'm going with this. And that is, I also, sorry, I'm just looking, just got a little message up here. My perspective, it looks like somebody's trying to say something. Just want to check. Nope. Okay. Here's my recommendation. What I have learned over the 20 years that I've been in coaching with universities, with my own coaching business, I have clients all over the world. I've had clients all over the world, etc. My feeling is this, that whatever coach training you take, whether it's just some beginning things, you're going for a all-inclusive program, make sure, in my opinion, that whatever you take comes with some kind of approved credits. And my recommendation is that they be ICF approved credits. You'll see I'm a big proponent of the ICF, and the reason why is because it's the largest professional association of coaches in the world. It's been around the longest. It has, people are becoming much more aware of it than, say, others. Organizations are also becoming more aware of this, and they're asking for that. Now, you may not know initially. You may think, well, I don't really know if I'm going to become a coach. I don't really know. My recommendation is make sure it comes with credits, because what I've seen happen several times is that people will get the coaching bug and they'll take some initial coach training and they'll decide, you know what, I want to get a credential. Well, the great thing is if they've taken one that already comes with those credits, it's a quicker route, because they can add to them, and then they can apply and produce those certificates that they receive, those credits that they want. So my recommendation, regardless of what you're going to do, is that you take whatever you take comes with some sort of coaching credits. Where are you going to do this? The question is, for many of you, you need to think about what's going to work for me. In other words, for some people, going live somewhere, taking a whole week of training, let's just say, or coming back and forth and doing live training, that might be great. It's intense, it's rigorous, it's expensive, and it's great if you can do that. The only other thing I will say about that is that for some of us, the way we learn, it will be fed to you in a way like a fire hose, because it'll all come at you at once. Not a big problem for some of us, but for others, it may be important that you like it in snippets. In other words, you don't want to have to fly somewhere or go somewhere to do it. Then maybe it's online. Maybe it's all online programs, or maybe it's blended. Maybe you do some online, maybe you do some blended. So that is something you want to think about, is what is the best way for me to learn? If I look in my history, if I look in my background, how do I do my best learning? And try to find if that's going to, what is going to be appropriate for you. Now, a really great question is, what is going to be required of you to become successful? All right, that's a big, big question. There's a lot, and it depends on, again, if you're going to do this internally within an organization and add it to your repertoire of skills and tools that you bring to coaching. And I've seen that more and more people in organizations are saying, you know what, I want to add this to my resume. I want to get that training, because I know that that's going to open doors for me in leadership positions in my organization or possibly other organizations. If it's something that you're wanting to create your own coaching business, there's a lot more to it than that. And a huge piece of it, aside from getting excellent coaching, what I call developing your coaching chops and having great skills with that, is that you're also going to have to learn how to create a successful coaching business. And that is a whole separate thing all by itself. So that is something else that you're going to need to consider. And by the way, I'm going to be stopping a few times, and I'm going to be opening up for questions, because I absolutely want to make sure that we are supporting you and that we are providing what you need. So those are some questions that you need to ask yourself. I'm just going to move along. Here are a couple of obstacles and opportunities that I think are important to be aware of when you enter coaching, whether it's in an organization, whether you're independent, etc. Is that there are a lot of, there's a number of untrained, as you can see, individuals out there who call themselves coaches. That's a big issue in coaching right now, and has been for quite a significant time, because a lot of people just jumped on the coaching bandwagon and they say, oh, I'm a coach. They're not really a coach. They haven't had any particular type of training, but they're calling themselves that. And you're going to meet that. You're going to meet that. But here's the opportunity. And here's something that I want to really emphasize that will be very, very important as you move through your coaching education and you move through your coaching career, however that gets expressed, is that the opportunity is for you to know that part of what you're going to be doing is actually educating people about coaching. It'll be a very significant piece of your coaching work, whether it's with a client, whether it's in an organization. It's always what I found, and I did not realize that when I first got into it, is that I had a big job ahead of me. Not only did I need to learn how to coach, but I also needed to learn how to educate people about coaching, i.e., what are the benefits? What is it? How do I demonstrate it? How do I provide value to someone when they're curious about it and wanting to know more? That is going to be very, very critical as you move through coaching. And, I'm just going to move back here for a second, excuse me. So what I want to do is I want to take a moment, and I want to open it up for any questions that are coming up so far. Just looking here and seeing if anything's coming up here. Okay. It sounds like, wait a second. Oh no, that's me. I saw somebody come up here. Anybody have a question at this point? Okay. So I'm just going to look at my notes here. Here's another piece that I think is incredible, very, very important, is that as you develop yourself as a coach, my learning over 20 years, and I've been involved in another number of coach training programs, as well as the ones that I have here, is one of the things that can happen, and I've seen it, is that the whole piece about learning to coach can sometimes get lost in all of the other tools and things and so on that people will say is important in coaching. I'm not saying they're not, but what happens is the person is not yet focused completely on learning their coaching skills and developing what I call their coaching chops. So it's very, very, my feeling is that whatever you're going to do, that you focus on what's going to teach me how to coach and how am I going to be supported in learning how to coach. That to me is going to be very, very important. So what I want to do is I want to go into, as I said I would, a little bit about the pros and cons of certification. I've already said a little bit. I'll just say a little bit more. And I'm just going to mention it one more time, is get the certification. Focus on making sure you're obtaining credentials, because you never know what you're going to do. That's the con, is if you don't do that, you're going to have to regroup, you're going to have to catch up later. And so just focus on that, in my opinion. It's very, very important. And so I've mentioned about becoming a coaching educator, but I also want to mention where coaches will get stuck as they're developing coaching, as they're growing as coaches. And that is the two pieces: building their own successful coaching business, but also where they'll get stuck is that piece, and internally where they can get stuck as well in an organization. So what I say to people is, if you're in an organization, position yourself to have opportunities to coach right from the start, and start to gain your experience and gain your story. Gain the story that you're going to be able to tell people what happened when you coach someone, so that you've got your success stories to tell. Is that making sense? All right. So what has happened here is that the other thing that I would recommend is, you're looking for various courses. We've got people in an organization who are looking to develop coaching skills in their organization. We've got people who are looking to become a coach. We've got people on the webinar today who are researching. And so my recommendation is, make sure that you have an opportunity to speak to someone who knows what they're talking about in coaching. We are getting comments, people who are inquiring to us at Coaching Out of the Box are saying, wow, nobody's talking to me. I don't have an opportunity to speak to someone, to get my questions answered, to get a little coaching on what would work for me. I really encourage you to ensure that you are able to speak to somebody. And by the way, we are very happy to speak to you. And I, of course, am biased in one sense, because I have created a very successful program. I've got a number of ways that you can work with us at Coaching Out of the Box. But truly, honestly, I really want it to be right for you as well. So let's talk about that. Let's see if that's the choice, or what would be the ideal choice for you. And at the two key places where I recommend you do your research are the ICF, and I have it at the end of this, as well as go on our website. We have blogs, we have newsletters, we have videos, and that can lead you to other places as well. All right, so I'm gonna move along here, and wait a second. What we do here at Coaching Out of the Box is we serve individuals, organizations, and coaches. Our programs are designed to support those three categories. And the first one is internal. In other words, you're someone who wants to develop internal coaching capacity in your organization. This is happening more and more, where organizations are saying, we want all our leaders and managers to develop coaching skills. Not necessarily to all become credentialed coaches, but we want them to be coach-like in their interactions. And so what we've done is we have, for those who are already credentialed, you can take our Train the Trainer. For our 555, the flagship that's been delivered to over 16,000 people in 38 countries, you can do that. Or what happens, we develop internal capacity. So for example, when we spoke at Harvard last year, we were sharing the results of what we did and how it was done within a large organization that employed 150,000 people. And what we had to do is we had to support internal development. And that means a cadre of coaches internally who could disseminate this throughout the organization to leaders, to managers, et cetera, et cetera. And so how we did it is, you'll see on the screen, they took a number of programs from us, and that ended up with them being ready and capable to deliver this internally. And at the same time, what happened was they were accruing credits, because some of them may and have since chosen to become credentialed with the ICF. So they could take those and they could do that. And that study that I talked about, or the results that we recommended, or that we presented to Harvard, were all based on 5,000 people who had experienced our coaching programs. So that would be one way. So if you want to do that, and at the end of this, we are delighted to speak to you further individually and support you and answer any and all of your questions. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that before I move to the next one? Okay, looks like, please raise your hand if you're wanting to say something. Okay, all right. So let me just jump to the next one. I want to get certified soon. All right. So again, we've created a fast track to ICF certification, which you can do in 6 months. And that is, we have 5 programs you take over 6 months, all virtually, and all using our highly experienced coaches who are all credentialed. And that will get you the coach-specific training hours that you need to get to the first level of certification, the ACC level of certification. And then in addition to that, you will need to get your coaching experience, meaning coach people and document that. And you'll also need to work with a coach and get some mentor coaching. So this will get you the coach-specific training hours. If you haven't taken anything, all of those programs will take you through it, and it's a very, we've got a great price on it. And again, reach out to us and we can speak to you more about it and support you in that, if making that decision is the right one for you. So there's that one. Some of you, and I think I saw it on the poll, might be renewing your credential. In other words, you're already credentialed, but you're looking to, you're having to re-credential, recertify. And when you do that, you're supposed to provide 40 hours of continuous improvement. And that's why I'm a big fan of the ICF too, because they want you to constantly be developing yourself, to be constantly adding to your coaching knowledge, to your coaching expertise, etc. So you need to have 40 hours, and 24 of those must be core competency credits. Well, you can do that with our programs. Personal Groundwork for Coaching program is an excellent choice, and it is that deeper dive that you will do with yourself as well as with the people that you work with. And it gets into all areas of someone's lives, because I'll tell you, when you're coaching someone, they may talk to you about, well, I've got to do this or that, but underneath, what's getting in the way? What's causing them to not accomplish something? What is in their wildest dreams that they want to make happen in their lives? What's their vision? What is stopping them? What is supporting them? This is the deeper dive that really great coaches need to learn how to do to support their people in moving farther, faster, easier, quicker, better. than they would have if they hadn't have done that. And that's why we created Personal Groundwork for Coaching. And that program has been used in 2 universities with probably now 1,200 or more people have used that in developing that component. And so that's one that you can take, or you could certainly get credits if you took the Train the Trainer, and that will support you in that recertifying piece. Okay? All right. All right, so the next one is I want to begin, and I want to just, I'm not sure how this is going to go for me. We'll take it one step at a time. Take our 555, for example. Take the coaching fundamentals and then move along from there. You don't have to, you don't have to commit to everything if that's not the right choice for you. You can do it a la carte, as I call it. And all of these programs, we've got it all listed on our website. We're happy to speak to you about it in more depth to make sure that you're qualified. Some of them will require that you've done some of the first ones first, and that you're going to get the credentials. You're going to get the certification. You're going to make the right choice for yourself. Okay? Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, and then I'm already a coach and want to add to my toolkit and become a coaching educator. Beyond educating people who you're speaking with, well, what is coaching? Why would I want to work with a coach? I need to understand this more. Beyond that, and this is what has happened to a number of coaches, and it has certainly happened to me, is that I recognized, and I'm passionate, that everybody learns these skills. And so I realized I had to become a coaching educator, and this is what this is for. In other words, I'm taking people and I'm supporting them in learning the skills, learning a great model, a proven model with over 16,000 people who are going to be, that it's going to be, it's going to work for you. And so that might be something that might be right for you, and take our Train the Trainer. We've got one coming up at the end of September. We'd love to have you as part of it. But also, it's a virtual program. It's over 8 weeks. So you're going to get 90-minute classes, over eight 90-minute classes. And once you finish that, you'll become licensed to deliver the program, and you will be able to go into organizations and do that. So that's also going to be, can be a real help as well. And so I'm going to stop here. And I want to find out, what are you getting so far? What's coming up for you? What questions are coming up? What comments? What is coming up as I'm sharing all of this with you? What's missing? I can see people talking, but I can't hear them. Arlie, what's missing for you? Can you hear me, Arlie? I'm just calling.
Yes, I can. Sorry, good day.
Oh, great. Hi.
Yeah, I just had to find the button. Yeah, for our organization here at Covenant Health, we do have a pretty robust mission to move forward with coaching at various levels in the organization. And so I think the last thing that we were exposed to was an opportunity to be for a mentor-mentee relationship, and to get matched up with people with similar interests and that sort of thing. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much where it is. But I participated in your other webinar and kind of missed some of the salient points. So this is a refresher for me as well.
So Arlie, thank you for speaking. I'm curious about something. This is great to hear, and I know Covenant Health and a number of people there. So Arlene, what are you seeing happening as a result of the coaching happening in that organization? Anything you're noticing?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's providing a really good foundation for engagement and a cross-fertilization of ideas and exposure to people who have, certain skills and experience that others can learn and benefit from. So that's I guess that's really what I've noticed. And as you know, I haven't been here for forever in this capacity. Only been for a short while in the organizational development area. So my exposure is a little bit less robust than some of the others here, but that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And I'm curious, anybody else? Martin, I recognize you. Any comments? What's missing for you? What's coming up as a result of what I'm sharing?
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Martin.
It's been a while. One of the questions that comes up for me, especially in building my practice, external coaching, is the piece around clients. Because if you've got a great clientele internally, which is where I came from, it's very easy. But now going externally, what do we do about this piece around how do you get people who don't know coaching to know coaching? So that's what's coming up for me.
Okay.
That helps you.
Fabulous question. And I struggled with that. Oh my gosh, Martin, I had a heck of a time initially. Because really, Martin, you can't tell them. It's a great question. You cannot tell them, oh, it's fabulous. I mean, you can, and you can certainly mention the benefits, et cetera, but here's what I learned. And what actually strengthened my coaching so much, and yet it made me nervous initially, is what I did is I used a coach approach in my conversation. In other words, I started coaching. And so, for example, I'll give you an example. And I created my own successful coaching business. I was not in an organization, so I had to go out and I had to attract clients. And at the time, I had a family to support. My children are grown up now, but I had to make the mortgage payment. I had to make the rent. So this was not, just some, oh, well, I'll just go out there and see how it goes. I had to make money. So what I did is I embarked on trying to, this was the attitude I had, was what can I do to add value every single time I talk to someone? And I had to get out there and start mixing with people, whether it was networking groups. In my case, I was the Vancouver Board of Trade, for example. I joined then. It's like a big, huge, large chamber of commerce, and they have endless networking functions and so on and so forth. I'm just using that as an example, and I'm going to share another one as well. I went there, and I started to adopt a coach approach in the interactions that I had with people, because I saw the other way, which was, hi, I'm Allison Hendren. I'm a fabulous coach, and I would like to work with you. Why don't you hire me? This didn't work. So instead, I adopted an attitude of curiosity and finding out about them. So I usually had a few different questions in my head, and I would just start chatting with people, and I would ask them, what are you noticing is one of your biggest challenges right now? And we would I would literally start being coach-like in the interaction. Now, I wasn't successful every time. It's not like everybody was just, yeah, okay. But I can't tell you how many people love to talk about themselves, and they love to talk about their challenges and their wins. What has been the best thing that's happened to you this past week? I'm curious, what's going to make this day by the end of your day, what is it that you want to make sure happens for you? That was the best thing I could have ever done. What I also found was that not every one of them instantly was hiring me and so on, but they started to experience what it's like for someone to be curious, to really focus on listening to them and really wanting to do something that is of support. Then at the end of that interaction, I would give them, what I did is I didn't do the business card thing. I had something that I handed to them that I thought might be of value. And at that time, it was the top 10 ways to get the most out of your employees, or whatever I thought would be a useful thing at that particular event. The other thing, and you might have already done this, Martin, and that was, and I mean, you're quite a ways along, so you might, I did do some pro bono coaching initially, and then but I set it up that they would, that I would then, after a certain period of time, in my case it was 2 months, that they would either agree to be advocates for what I did, they would refer people to me, or they would continue to work with me. That was worth its weight in gold, because they all became advocates and they all were very willing to be references for me as well. And that was very, very helpful. And I also managed to get, an article in a few different publications, a writer, and that also served me very, very well. There was one other thing I wanted to mention, and now it's left my brain. I know. And that was, remember I talked about becoming a coaching educator, that your job is also to do that. So what I tried to do is get opportunities to speak at meetings. And I found there's a lot of organizations that are wanting to bring somebody to one of their monthly meetings, sales people. I had come from a sales background, so I was going to various sales managers and I was talking to them and coming to their sales meeting and speaking and educating and demonstrating, being able to demonstrate the value by engaging someone else from the crowd, the person maybe who brought me in, and having a coaching demonstration that I did right then and there at the time. So I'm curious, Martin, what if anything else is coming up for you about that, and anything else, any other comment or question, and you just need to unmute if you're going to say something.
Yeah, actually, you had some really great points, and I did have one question around what you just said there. The networking in the meeting, this is great, but it was around the piece on publication. You said you got a number of articles.
Yes.
I do notice that, because I do follow you, and I do see when you publish new articles. I'm wondering whether the articles are helpful or whether we should be focusing more on a book or something that's got more of a lasting piece. Do you have a thought on that?
You mean recommending a book or writing a book?
Writing a book.
Oh.
Writing a book or writing an article, like in terms of getting out there.
Yes, a book is fantastic. It's a fabulous, fabulous tool to write a book and then use that and leverage that, have it on your website and so on. I consider in my case, all my programs and products, the book, the variety of books. The one, I will give you another tip about that, what you could do, because that can be daunting for some people to, it takes time. So what I would also suggest is that you could start writing a series of blogs, and that they could then be part of your book eventually. In other words, they could form part of your book, and you could have, they could be the chapters in your book or a piece of the book, or at least get you on that track. A book is a great idea. There's no question about it. And I'm sorry, I think there was another piece to that question. That
was great. Thanks so very much.
The other thing is another piece, I'm just going to share this other piece about this, is that what happened was when I joined one of these networking organizations, I said, well, how can you support me? And they said, well, we're going to be doing some, articles about coaching and so on in our publication. And it was a publication that went to 10,000 people. And I said, okay, well, And they said, listen, we'll get an article about coaching in it. And I'll tell you, remember I said a little while ago about adding value? So what happened was a writer contacted me who was part of, who was hired by the networking organization to write an article about coaching. She was talking to not just me, she was talking to others. But here's what I did. I found out about her. I was curious about her. I used a coach approach with her. I found out she was a single parent. She had a lot of demands on her time. She had these small children. She was working hard. So what I did is I committed to really helping her with that article. And so what I did is I provided resources and so on. The article came out, and it was not just interviewing me, there was others. I will tell you that first day that it came out, I was hired by someone who read the article. They contacted me. But here's the other really cool piece about that, is that she remembered me helping her. She was hired to do another article about, in this case, it was about a year later, and it was on coaching, and she chose to focus completely on me and feature my story. And so she wrote this article. I didn't even know at that time what publication she was writing it for, but what it turned out to be is it was a airline magazine. And it was an airline that was in Nevada, Reno, Nevada. And so all of a sudden, after it was published, I was getting all of these calls and inquiries from people in Las Vegas and LA and all of this it was called Reno Air. It doesn't exist anymore. This was a few years ago. But that was an example, and she has contacted me. There was other times when she contacted me because I made it easier for her. I was helpful. I wanted to do that. So anyway, that's just another way. But I recognize that building up a clientele and doing that, it does take time, as I'm sure you're recognizing, Martin, and way to go, because you know what? I think I was on your website not that long ago, and I thought it was fantastic. I know I saw it. And so you're setting yourself up professionally, and that's what you also want to do if you're doing this externally. You need to invest. You need to invest in those pieces that will get you out there. So hopefully that was helpful. So I also saw another comment, and it's from Julie, and it's about the cost factor. And I'm curious, Julie, as to if you could just be a little more clear. What do you mean by the cost factor? The cost, I'm guessing. If you can unmute yourself. Or put it in the chat area. And maybe she's not there at the moment. Okay. Oh, how much? Oh, if I take the ICF. Oh, I see. Well, it varies. It depends on the programs that you're going to take. The ICF accredits programs and credentials coaches. It doesn't literally put on coach training programs. You would come to places like Coaching Out of the Box or others. You can go on the ICF website, and they list out all kinds of programs. There's different types and so on. And by the way, Julie, I would be happy to chat with you further about that, but the costs can vary depending on what programs. It can be if you're taking a half-day workshop or something, or you could be taking through some organization, it may be $30,000. It really varies. And so that's why when I bundled up mine, I've tried to make it very, very cost effective. So you could get to that first level of ICF certification for around $3,200. So that's actually quite reasonable out there in terms of getting that level. Royal Roads in Canada is approximately $10,000, and it goes from there. Hopefully that's helpful. And Julie, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to speak to you further and answer those kinds of questions. Anybody else? We've got just a minute or two. Okay, we've just got a moment or two before we are done. Anybody else with a comment or question? So while I'm waiting for that, I'm curious, what specifically are you walking away with today as a result of attending this webinar? Anybody? Here's two resources. You'll see it right there, coachfederation.org. It's got massive amounts and it will lead you to umpteen different places. So that's one. It can be overwhelming and almost confusing. So again, my recommendation is speak to someone. If you're looking to add to your toolkit, if you're looking to bring it into an organization, or you're looking to develop as a coach, speak to someone. And I and our Coaching Out of the Box, we are very, very happy to speak to you and answer any and all questions. And that would be, we'd be delighted to do that. And so I've got what's next. Chat with me, reach out. I'm happy to do that. You could check out our programs that are coming up in the fall. We're going to, next webinar, we're going to focus on coaching for sustainable change. Remember I said that at the beginning. It's all about change. How does coaching support sustainable change? Want a copy of the Global Coaching Survey, exec summary, or are making it as coach info sheet? We did that class last month, I think it was, little info thing. Please just send us, contact us, and we will get that for you. And yeah, so anybody else before we go? Thank you so much for coming. And again, reach out to us at Coaching Out of the Box. Me, Allison, I'm a absolute passionate advocate for coaching. I want everybody to learn this. So, and great seeing you today. And thank you so much for your participation. And there's our vision. That's what we want to see happen. All right. Bye-bye.